So the question today is, can Bollywood go global? Well, first of all, what is Bollywood? It's an Indian cinema that's characterised by long films, traditional values, and some say it's comparable to the West or Los Angeles Hollywood. So what is their aim? They're looking to expand, to become a player in the global film field, an industry that's characterised by knowledge diffusion where talent is crucial and creativity is high. So what's the problem? Well, we've all heard the notion of globalisation, a concept synonymous with a borderless world, the removal of geographical boundaries and where migration is easy. If Thomas Friedman is right in saying that we are, and the world is flat, and we are in an era of globalisation 3.0 that emphasises the sharing of knowledge and talent, what is stopping Bollywood from going global and reaching our screens at home? To answer this question, we should be interviewing a series of analytical experts in the film industry and address the following issues. What is the impact of globalisation on the film industry? To what extent is Bollywood a threat or opportunity to Hollywood? What is the best strategy for Bollywood to go global? And what does the future for Bollywood look like? Will there be a convergence of differences within both the film industries of the East and the West?
Today we have Tanya in, statistical analyst of the film industry. We'll be talking about how global is the film business. What do you think is the impact of the globalization on the film industry?
If talking about the impact of globalization on the industry, I'll start asking the question how well the films travel across the borders. And to begin with, I'll talk about the culture, because each country has different cultures, values, beliefs, and preferences. And another part is the globalization itself, and looking the travel well or not. We can say we can look at technological advances in the years and the digital distribution as well.
What do you think the drivers of globalization are?
And the key drivers of globalization, I think there are four main drivers: the technological advances, as I said before, the macro drivers, and these are the markets, costs, competitors.
You touched upon YIP's framework. Would you like to give us some more detail on the industry factors?
Yeah, I was talking about the industry drivers as market, cost, and competition. And regarding the market, because of the liberalization of the industry, it led to the adaptation of the broader range of customers via a slight concept change. But the problem with that was the piracy and internet sharing, and this is probably the reason why they're released later in India and China than in West. And another point that I've touched was the cost. And as they went global, it could lead to the greater sales, increased profit margins, and relocation of production, distribution, exhibition places. So, in other words, the outsourcing, which would save them some cost, decrease cost. And then it will open them the international avenues for financing. So the international investors will go in. But the problem is, if they will go global, they will have like competitor the Hollywood films. And
what are the different macro factors affecting the industry?
I'll talk to you about that in regards to the best analysis. Best analysis is the political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors. I'll talk just about a few of them. The political factor is that movie industry, identified by the government, is one of the most important sectors for India's export-oriented growth, and the treaties between countries concentrate on sharing costs by partners nations, so the diffusion of knowledge among these treaties. But at the moment, India holds the weak position on this. Regarding the economic factor, the liberalization with foreign brands and international investors that I've said about that before lead to English-speaking workforce coming to India, large pool of creative talent, and another economic factors are the high-quality software engineers already being in India and low costs. and good studios. Then the social factor is changing genres. Sorry about that. Focusing on a diverse audience. So, as I said before, the converging of consumer taste. But the problem is that the India's demographic, it's almost 35% of India's population is illiterate, and the demand for an alt medium facilitates communication and information sharing. And the last point that I will include in here is the legal part. So India has straightened the labor laws, and the two main are the businesses which employ 20 or more workers seek the government approval before hiring the contract labor, and the other one is that the law drives up costs for the mid-sized firms and encourages companies to stay small, as hiring and firing rules of the industrial sector require any company employing more than 100 workers to get permission from the government before laying off workers. And the other legal part is that there are high government regulations due to the adulthood and violence scenes in the movies all around the world. And another part is that there is a very high level of corruption in India.
Over Skype, we should be talking to our next expert, a professor at UCLA, Dana. Hi, Dana. Do you believe that Bollywood is a competitive threat or opportunity? As in, to what extent do you think India poses a threat to Hollywood film?
So, in order to answer your question, I can say that we need to follow the cage analysis theory. So that first we'll speak about cultural ones. It means that there is a huge distance in terms of language, because in Bollywood originally films are made in Hindi and Chennai languages, and in terms of social norms and values, Indian films are making a huge emphasis on family values, so patriarchy and filial duty. That will mean that they are concerning more a conservative portrait of family, and Hollywood, on the contrary, is making emphasis on more conservative, or on more nuclear families. Sorry for that. And in terms of administrative, it means that government, as well as in the India and in the USA, are now becoming too concerned about adulthood and violence scenes in the movies. And in terms of geographical elements or geographical distance, as we can experience now by ourselves, the technology and the internet actually eliminates any borders between our countries, so we can actually feel each other at any time and can see each other as well as in the real life and by our technology. And in terms of economic values or economic distance, there is huge possibility that Indian Bollywood film industry will actually go global, because there is a steady economic growth and steady growth in income of population, and that will lead to higher consumption of them.
In your analysis, how do you think American filmmakers should respond to Bollywood's attempt to go global? For instance, do you believe that Bollywood provides any opportunities for American studios? And if they do, how should Hollywood approach the Indian film market?
So for the questions also you want to talk about, the SWOT analysis is also applicable here. So you can see it on the screen, on the slide actually, that will be shown in the seconds to you.
And what do you think the best strategy for Bollywood to go global is?
Having assessed the macro-environmental influences using the pastel analysis and the disparities between countries using the cage analysis, we have identified strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. However, the question is not if Bollywood should go global, but rather when and how. Based on the firm's size and the size of its domestic market, Bollywood is likely to be a slow internationalizer based on the matrix. However, this is not a linear process. Before going global, Bollywood needs to tackle some of the pre-existing issues and then think about the international expansion. It is evident that Bollywood needs to engage in internalization to a certain extent. Therefore, we should do an analysis to draw insight into its business model, consisting of the customer value proposition, profit formula, key processes and capabilities, and its position in the network. The customer value proposition includes the offering, which is based on traditional values such as religion and family. I will now draw upon the VRO framework, assessing Bollywood's human resources and content capability to see if it provides means of competitive advantage. The capability is valuable, is rare, it's not easy to imitate, and it is organized to capture value, therefore it gives a sustained competitive advantage. Moreover, in order to see where the company stands and where could it improve based on competitive factors in relation to its main rival Hollywood, the strategy canvas is plotted. The gap is evident particularly in the profit margin, distribution and quality, as well as advertising. This unexplored space needs to be considered when shaping Bollywood's new strategy. These are the factors that Bollywood also needs to work on in order to enter the blue ocean and thus compete better within the domestic market. Some of the reasons why Bollywood is not doing very well include its innovation system problems, technology, management, illicit financing, and the sheltered environment where it operates.
Hi, so essentially what we recommend is a 3-stage strategy. First, Bollywood need to engage in an arbitrage-focused strategy. To do this, they need to look at what areas they are underperforming relative to Hollywood. For example, in technology, they lack certain production capabilities, which is evident in their lower film quality. And what they could do is use existing production equipment from Hollywood. Similarly, Bollywood lack an innovative system and poor management in terms of the distribution, which is currently very fragmented and is actually one of the key reasons for piracy. What they could do with this is management of multiplexes in the Indian market, since for the consumer, films take on more characteristics that of a service than of a tangible good. The experience when viewing these Bollywood films is crucial. Therefore, they can engage in, for instance, a project-based non-equity collaborative venture where they employ designers from Hollywood to help design the multiplexes in Bollywood. Similarly, for phase 2, what we recommend is that Bollywood should tackle their niche market before attempting to go international. This is because significant studies have actually shown that companies from emerging economies perform better in other developing countries due to similar economic development stage or level. What happens is that Bollywood first enters the culturally similar countries, and then they gain confidence, and then they can enter the different countries at a later stage. And the third stage, for Bollywood to go global and reach international non-Indian audiences, we recommend an adaptation and aggregation-focused strategy. In terms of adaptation, what they need to do is appeal to more local content. For example, in Bender Like Beckham, they followed a traditional Bollywood storyline in terms of family values and romance, but the use of Western characters meant that the audiences in such markets could identify with the film. In terms of aggregation, Bollywood could engage in non-equity strategic alliances such as co-marketing to reach more consumers. Similarly, they engage in equity alliances such as joint ventures to share the costs, risks, and obtain access to Hollywood's knowledge and therefore benefit from an experienced learning curve. But what we must recognise is that as Bollywood is never going to be the forefront of film, but it's going to be a late mover relative to Hollywood. And this actually means this gives Bollywood an opportunity to essentially free ride off Hollywood's investments such as production houses. Therefore, Bollywood can expand without having to incur significant sunk costs.